Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
India is currently the second largest producer of coal and holds the fifth largest coal reserves in the world. To feed India's requirements, we produced around 729 million tons of coal and imported another 247 million tons last year. The coal minister recently announced that Coal India, the world's largest coal producing company and India's foremost public sector undertaking, would produce 1 billion tons of coal by 2024 in order to be self-sufficient. This statement comes almost at the same time as India's announcement to the world saying that it will phase down coal and arrive at net zero emissions by 2070. To achieve that, projections say that India's coal use would need to peak by 2040 before falling. But India's phase down from coal is not likely to be easy. There are demands that the transition from fossil fuels to renewable energy sources should be just. And the concept of a just transition is enshrined in the Paris Agreement as well as the newly adopted Glasgow Pact. So what is a just transition and why is it important? This video seeks to answer those questions. My name is Simrin Sirur and you're watching Tipping Point. There is no one definition of a just transition, but several of the ones that do exist, mostly from high-income countries, revolve around an economic transformation that keeps the livelihoods of workers at its heart. India is increasingly coming under pressure, both from within the country and the world, to close its coal mines and decommission its thermal power plants. In a recent case, the NGT, the National Green Tribunal, directed the Indian government to finalize its plans to decommission coal-based power plants by March 2022. I spoke to Kavya Singhal, a research associate of climate action with the National Foundation of India, about what the essence of a just transition is, and this is what she had to say.
So, when we talk about just transition, it basically means that we leave no one behind in the transition process. So, we understand that that just transition is that transitions are going to happen. That's inevitable. But the justice is not. So, we need to take into consideration everybody when we plan a strategy or when we plan a transition. So, it has to be equitable for the workers and it should also take into consideration the social and the environmental impact.
According to the NFI's report, a just transition process in India is likely to be complicated and messy because a large number of people involved in coal mining are from the informal sector. The states most vulnerable to a coal phase down include West Bengal, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, and parts of UP, Telangana, Maharashtra, and Andhra Pradesh. The NFI's data says that even at a conservative estimate, 1.3 crore people will be affected by a phase down and phase out of coal. And there are also environmental consequences. The same report found that since 2008, at least 123 mines have been closed. But there's, quote, very little evidence of environmental remediation and land rehabilitation in these areas.
So we started our study around January, February. So from that time, we are having the conversations with different stakeholders. When we were conducting the study, I think I had a conversation with more than 50 to 60 stakeholders from the sector, from India, like across India. And none of the people even recognize the fact that the coal is going to go away. So people believe, be it the power sector, be it the iron and steel sector, and even coal mining. So people believe that for the next 50, 60 years, the coal will be there. And the production will increase. It is for the first time when our Prime Minister actually announced that in 2070 the coal will phase down. We will achieve a net zero target. Now the conversation is beginning. So the planning needs to start right away, but at the moment, there is no such steps taken in the direction.
According to Souvik Bhattacharya, Associate Director of the Energy and Resources Institute's Integrated Policy Analysis Division, a just transition framework needs to transform the economic, social and physical infrastructure involved in the coal mining sector.
While this is extremely important when we are talking about the livelihood aspects, but if we look at the kind of the dependence on the coal economy, not only by the people who are directly employed in this sector, there are also connections in terms of the states who are dependent significantly on the revenue which is coming from the royalties, or maybe for that matter the district middle funds which are whether financial resources come primarily from coal mining activities. So you can understand that how the entire perspective of just transition is changing in the Indian context, where we are not only confining our concerns with the livelihood issues, but with a very large ecosystem at the state level, at the sub-regional level, but also at the local level, and also other issues which are indirectly connected to the overall development. So we are not looking, livelihood definitely is one of the issues, but the way I see it is like more of a kind of a set of actors or agents in the economy who are going to get affected because of this energy transition. So any just transition strategy should not only talk about empowering the people in terms of finding alternate livelihood options, but at the same time to ensure that all the other issues which I have just discussed get adequately addressed.
So what's the Indian government doing about this? Mine closure guidelines were first introduced in 2009 and reissued in 2013 and continue to evolve. Recently, the government signed a memorandum of understanding with the World Bank, seeking assistance of nearly $1 billion or 7,500 crore rupees to develop a comprehensive framework for handling mine closures. It is said that the process will take place in two phases. One is mapping the Indian coal ecosystem, and the other is actually implementing the mine closure plan. A preliminary project report accessed by Monga Bay says that there are two major environmental benefits that can come out of such a mine closure plan. Repurposing coal mining land for renewable energy or renewable energy storage projects could help reduce carbon dioxide emissions. And adopting technical standards around mine closures could also help reduce methane emissions, another potent greenhouse gas. But experts have also emphasized that the just transition process must extend beyond the coal and power sector. Tim Gould, chief energy economist at the International Energy Agency, said as much in an interview with me last week. The India Just Transition Centre put out a working paper recently with suggestions on what the government should keep in mind when framing its just transition policy. One, that it must include all major fossil fuels and fossil fuel dependent industries. Two, that it necessitates broad-based socio-economic development that is sensitive to gender and marginalization. 3. That it is an inclusive process ensuring procedural justice for workers and their communities. 4. That it should help to provide universal livelihood, ensure social welfare, and eradicate poverty and deprivation. And finally, that it should be able to help achieve our net zero emissions goals, secure energy justice in the transition to low carbon systems, and improve environmental and ecological conditions through the transition.